Kindly come over it. So put your hands together for the Director and CEO of Outwear and Denim Division.
Good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to the Global Investors Meet Karnataka. I think it's the 8th, 9th or 10th edition. My name is Raghavan. I represent a company called Shahi Exports Private Limited. Shahi Exports, is not in the public space, so most of you may not know about this company. But I'll speak a little bit about the company and then talk you through the events which led us through COVID, COVID-1, COVID-2, and post-COVID. So we are in the business of apparel manufacturing, apparel as in clothes, as most of you would know. We manufacture and ship to some of the largest brands in the world. When I say largest brands, it includes some of the best brands right from Japan all the way to United States of America. What is in garment manufacturing? You all have heard about software, IT, and Karnataka is known for several other things, but who is this company, Shahi? Have never heard about this. Well, we started 40 years back as a garage startup in Okla in Delhi. And then we moved to Karnataka about 25 years back. We set up our first factory with about 250 workers in the year 1980 or about that time. Today, Shahi is one of the largest apparel manufacturers and exporters in the country. And Karnataka is our home for over 100,000 employees. Thank you. We employ in all about 125,000 people, mostly women, and women from the lowest strata of society. When I say that, I don't say it with any kind of, I say it with humility because these people are the ones who are actually not just supporting India and putting India in the global map, but also supporting families, children, and society, and I'll talk about that in a little while. So, 125,000 workers, making brands, shipping to some of the leading brands in the world. We do have a challenge to manage such a large workforce, people who have very little education or no education at all. In 40 years, we have done we've grown from strength to strength, and today, like I said, we have become the largest in the country. 2020 March, I think most of you would like to wipe it out of your calendar. Unfortunately, this is one of the darkest months, if not the darkest year in my lifetime, and so is this for many people. COVID-19, as I called it, became a global pandemic, officially became a global pandemic. There was confusion all around us, black days, no clarity of thought. Suddenly everything was closing up. The whole world shut down. And when, the whole world shut down, everybody starts to panic. I'm sure most of you panicked as well. But I think we thank, to start with the resilience of our government of India, and then followed by government of Karnataka. Clarity started to emerge over the next few days. We were not sure what to do because we had to shut our factories overnight. We do have a lot of migrant workers. So that's something I didn't mention earlier. We have close to about 30,000 migrant workers from across the country. Now these migrant workers leave their family, come to work with us. They've been housed in hostels. They cook their own food. We provided them with jobs and security of the job and so on and so forth. But when suddenly everything had to be shut in 2020, there was utter confusion all around us. Most of all for the people who were not close to their families. I think most of you saw what happened in national television about the condition of the migrant workers trying to get back home. Fortunately, Shahi had a plan in place. Of course, first few days we were confused, but then when thoughts started to become a little more clear, we put a plan in place to say that first let's protect our migrant workers. So we started by providing them with ration, providing them with some sort of activity to keep them active, most of all to make sure that They had the presence of mind and peace of mind to not be worried about their family and so on and so forth. Once we put that in place, we reached out to all our workers, thanks to social media, thanks to WhatsApp, SMS. We got to every individual worker through our HR network, and I must say they did a commendable job in reaching out to almost every worker. When I say every worker, we just don't employ workers in Bangalore. We have factories across Karnataka, across India. But like I said at the very beginning, Karnataka is the largest. We have about 100,000 workers with 50 factories, close to 50 factories. So we reached out to every worker telling them what is going on, in terms of lockdown, in terms of what to expect. Because most of these workers were worried about their salary, right? They don't come to work, they don't get paid. They don't get paid, they don't have food. So it's a very difficult situation for them. I think fortunately, we reached out to them and told them that, hey, listen, you don't have to worry about your jobs are secure. We are working on multiple plans. We are engaging with the government to see how to bring you back to work very quickly. Around the same time, under the direction of our Honorable Prime Minister and Textile Ministry, we were chosen, one of the few factories who were chosen to make PPE, personal protection equipment. You must have seen in the television people wearing this white robes, fully covered, which is supposed to meet a certain standard to keep the virus off your body. So we were chosen, we were one of the few companies, in fact the first company if I remember, chosen to do this. Now how do you deliver? And then the mandate was quite large because they wanted close to 1 million PPEs delivered within days because the virus was spreading very fast, people were getting infected and the government of India was really concerned. Now, we had to get people back to the factory to make things happen, right? You can't just sit at home. We are not a software company that you can remotely log in and do things, write a code, or so on and so forth. So we had to physically bring people back into our factories, which was a huge challenge. First of all, the social challenge of convincing them that you are safe, because their families wouldn't let them go to work because of the fear of the virus. Then we had to reach out to them. Of course, we got the support of the government to give us special passes, to reach out to these people. And so we reached out to them and made sure that we could bring a sizable workforce back into our factories to make PPE. And today we are very, very proud because we were one of the early contributors to the PPE, which was mandated by the government of India. And in many ways, I think we contributed to the society at large because, every country in the world was struggling with PPE. And most of these PPE sets were made in China, not in India. So we had to step up to the challenge and we did that very, very quickly. That's, I would say, in many ways brought our workers back, brought the confidence back. And one by one, they started to get back to work. We didn't obviously open all the 50 factories, but wherever we could work, we delivered. And very soon we reached about 10 to 15,000 PPE sets per day. And that went up to 20,000 sets. In all, we delivered close to 1 million sets. And I think that really changed the, game for India because very soon other manufacturers took cue from us and they were able to deliver quite a few PPE sets to the government of India. Post this, I think, so we went through whole of April in lockdown, doing PPE sets, trying to connect with our customers. But like they say, when there is a need, the human mind starts to think. So we started to think as to how do we engage with our workers, how do we get back to business. Unfortunately for us, I think about the same time, Zoom as a media opened up. Prior to that, we had to go through a VC or a WhatsApp video call or a FaceTime and so on. But Zoom was a blessing for us. I must acknowledge the fact that Zoom really changed our lives. So we could very quickly get back into huddles, started, connecting with our teams, connecting with our customers. And when clarity started to emerge, they started to, kind of understand what is in store for everybody. Because when COVID struck, the whole world came to an, standstill. Everything was shut. Obviously, there was huge merchandise getting piled up in ports, in the stores, warehouses, in the stores. So nobody had a clue as to what to do with this. So, like I said, when clarity started to emerge, people started to get a very clear understanding of how to deal with this pandemic. So one by one, I think, our customers started to engage with us. We started to, kind of make a plan. obviously they had to get the goods, so we had to get our workforce back in time whenever the country opened up. So in the early April, I think in May, around 4th or 5th of May 2020, I think the Government of India by then had a plan in place. Some of the early vaccination, news came out and people started to become a little more confident. Social distancing was already a done thing. So we had a very clear game plan as to how to handle these workers returning back to work, how to keep them safe. And I think what we found out was that more than we urban dwellers, these workers who come from remotest places in the country are far more resilient, both in terms of health and mental well-being. Most of these workers came back without the fear. In fact, my staff didn't come back to work, but my workers were completely back at work. When we announced on 5th of May that we are opening up our factories, almost all of our workers were back at work. And to our surprise, we found that most of them were healthy, once they started working. So we kind of, started to engage with them to understand what is really keeping them so healthy and fit. Of course, they had the masks in place, social distancing. But we also found out that they had a very simple living, right? Their lifestyle was very, very simple. And hence, they could, go through all this and make sure that they could bring us right back into the game. And after that, I would say it's history because we've had a fantastic 2021 and 2022, and life is moving forward. I would like to share much more, but I think we need to appreciate the spirit of the time, and thank you very much for listening to my story. Yeah?
With sincere request to all the esteemed speakers, I think we'll stick on to around 10 to 11 minutes so that audience are very eager to ask a few questions. I would now request the CEO and MD of Dynamatic Technologies, Dr. Udayant Malhoutra, for his share for the next 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that was very encouraging and special. 130,000 employees. Only in Karnataka could you have had that resilience. May I request for my slides to come up, please? So, while they come, oops, okay. So that's the company I represent. It's called Dynamatic Technologies Limited. We're a aerospace and defense manufacturer. We produce products for the Indian military and also for global majors. So this was a particularly difficult business to manage through this period because you see, you're down in India, you're surrounded by all our major institutions. You have a incredible runway for growth of globalization, and suddenly you're hit with this pandemic. But you see, our business itself, being in Bangalore, is very digital, which you can run during a lockdown digitally. But when you talk about manufacturing products, you need to have thousands of the workers visiting and being on the shop floor and managing it. More importantly, internationally, we're a sole supplier to Boeing and Bell Helicopter, Airbus, and there was a great risk that if we shut down, we would shut down these global lines. These were international industries that were protected in their countries as critical and essential infrastructure. So I'll just show you a small video which shows you the kind of work that's done. So every single Airbus made is made with these flap rack beam assemblies produced in Bangalore. Every Chinook all the P8s, the F-15s, all the Bell 407 helicopters in the world, the entire cabin, the whole fuselage is made in Bangalore. So with that, if we had shut down, we would have actually devastated these industries and we would have caused lasting damage to the Make in India campaign and brand. And this is really where we're very fortunate to be in Bangalore, where you have such a collaborative, approach between business, between industry and between academia. So in fact, I'd like to recognize Srimati Gunjan Krishna, who's sitting in the first row, our industries commissioner. Ma'am, thank you very much. You see her with us in the Indian Institute of Science. This is a week before the lockdown. So we were with Professor Utpal Tatu, who's the most celebrated scientist in India on coronaviruses, trying to understand what could be mitigations and how we could test for these things. And then on the 25th, there was a lockdown. So as Louis Pasteur said, chance favors the prepared mind. On the 1st of April itself, the government of Karnataka, ma'am, thank you very much for your entire advocacy, but the entire government machinery moved and we had approval to open all defense and manufacturing of aerospace products as an essential service. And that meant the entire industry, not just one company, but something like 350 companies. And what we promised was that we would have safety. So we developed these protocols with the Indian Institute of Science so that we could run during the COVID period. And a lot of what was being shared by the government of India, they were actually getting data, real life data from our facilities and companies like ours. We set up COVID testing with RT-PCR from March itself. And then we went out and we vaccinated the entire supply chain, something like 16,000 people, because it was not just the workforce in our company and the supply chain, but also their families. You have to remember 2 years ago, we were also paranoid. So a lot of the paranoia exists in the mind. We sterilized all incoming and all outgoing materials. So even our customers were happy that they were getting completely sanitized products. And we used all kinds of things, HEPA filters in our factories, UV lights, plasma cluster technology for the air, and of course you had a protected workforce. Very recently, Airbus instituted its first Global Sustainability Award, which is now an annual award. Last year we won the first Global Sustainability Award for this work. And again, this couldn't have been a company, it was the entire ecosystem here. With this, Boeing also spotlighted us as their most resilient supplier. So one has 12,000 suppliers, one has 11,000 suppliers across the world. And an Indian company out of Bangalore suddenly spotlighted. And I'm just trying to say, immediately thereafter, we got new orders. This is the first emergency escape hatch that will be built, and we'll start delivery as a sole supplier for the new A220 from March this year. From Boeing, we won the center section of the F-15EX. So, you know, this kind of good behavior, the good performance that the entire ecosystem of Bangalore, remember when we supply, we have about 200 SMEs behind us. That has been recognized. Going Going forward for sustainability, what's really important is the ecosystem of workforce. So we adopted the ITI at Devanali. We work with 55 Gram Sabhas in North Bangalore. And we get the children of artisans, karigars from these villages. They are landless, highly skilled youngsters. They're not the rich farmers who've made a lot of money because their land values have gone up. But they're trained and they become aerospace workers. And they're the highest paid blue-collar workers in the state. So this really brings a workforce from our rural hinterland into the global workforce. And I'd just like to close with this slide. Let me go back. We had just one thing. This is the state, the resilient state, and we're very proud to be here. Thank you very much.
Karnataka Apara Avakashagala Rajya. That was the last one, a land of great opportunities. Thank you very much, Dr. Udayant Malhoutra, for that highly impressive presentation. Thank you, sir. And we have Shri Nithin Kamath, founder and CEO of Zerodha, for his next 10 minutes.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Thankfully I didn't make a presentation. I couldn't have beaten your presentation. That was an amazing presentation. Thanks. And to be very honest, as Zerodha, we've been very lucky that we are building a digital business. So being resilient was a lot easier than both Shahi and Dynamatics. So I'll quickly start off setting some context to our business. I've been born, brought up in Karnataka. So when we first started Zerodha, everyone said, you're a stockbroker, you should be in Bombay, not in Bangalore, right? And so this was 2010. Today, I think, Bangalore should have its own Dalal Street because, thanks to us, we've had, we have this whole new generation of stockbrokers in Bangalore. If you were to look at Indian stock market by exchange turnover, I think Bangalore contributes more than Bombay now. So so firstly, I think when I look back at the journey of the business, Bangalore has been like really a key component, key reason for the success of the business, especially mainly because of the talent. One of the things that has worked very well for the business is that our attritions have been very low. Of course, in the noise of the startup ecosystem, it's with all this hiring, firing noises, it's very easy to get carried away to think that all businesses are like that. It isn't. Our tech team, two people have left our tech team in the last 7 years. In the core team at Zerodha, out of the top 100, 150 people, maybe we've lost 4 or 5 people in the last 12 years, right? So culturally, I think Bangalore is like an amazing place to find good talent who can stick around, kind of grunt it out with you of sorts, right? So for us, we've grown as a business leveraging the ecosystem, right? As in, when we started in 2010, the National Stock Exchange has launched a free trading platform. So we built a business really on top of that when we started, right? Because, when we started, there was no tech. Tech at Zerodha only started in 2013 when Kailash joined us. So we firstly leverage on National Stock Exchange, trading platform. Our tipping point in our business was really 2016 when you could use Aadhaar for online onboarding, right? Because if you wanted to open a customer's account, it used to be a 40-page document, which used to take, like 14, 15 days. 2016, what happened, thanks to the government, allowing for Aadhaar to be used for onboarding, something that used to take 15 days became like sub 15 minutes, right? So it suddenly opened the floodgates, right? As in for tech-only businesses like ours, the biggest dropping point was opening a customer's account, right? So we were at 70,000 customers in 2016 when Aadhaar onboarding started. So it took us like 6.5 years to get to 70,000 customers. We are at almost like 1.1 crore customers today. So, we got, like the remaining, 1 crore plus customers in the next 6 years, right? As in, it was completely enabled on platform, on top of the India stack. The second important piece of India stack was UPI. right? Because digital payments has powered many, has created so many businesses, including us. For us, the tipping point with UPI was when you could use UPI for IPO, right? Because until 2019, if you wanted to apply for an IPO, you had to do it only through a bank account, through like an ASBA form, as they called it. So 2019 is when, you could now use UPI for it, right? So suddenly that was another tipping point in the business. So, if I look back at this journey, I think, apart from, the Bangalore ecosystem, we've leveraged and built the business on top of the India stack. The other thing I think, we've done well is in 2016, we started a fintech fund incubator. So we said we're going to start we're going to partner startups to build niche capital market ecosystems, niche capital market platforms. So 2016, we started Rainmatter. So Rainmatter has, today 25 businesses as part of the portfolio. So all these businesses were building platforms for making life easier for people investing and trading in the market. So there are these 25 businesses, which are, again, most of them are out of Bangalore. So which is, again, something that I'm supremely proud of. So coming back to COVID, so when COVID happened, last week of March 2020, I sent an email to our team saying, it's time to go into a monk mode, because the next 1-2 years is going to be like supremely hard. And I had like a bunch of predictions, and I have never been that wrong in my life because, every single prediction I had made in that was completely proved wrong. Because when COVID happened, we were at 2 million customers. Suddenly what happened with COVID was people had stopped spending money because you couldn't go out, so you had more money with you. People had more time on their hands because you're locked down. And stock market started doing well, right? So these were all three potent combination. And suddenly, a whole generation of people who had never looked at capital markets suddenly said, I want to save, invest in the stock markets. So the markets in India expanded significantly over the last 2 years. So like I said, we have grown 4x, 5x, from the day I sent that email where I said, we're going to go into like a really tough patch as a business. Now, how did we, like I said, for us, the resiliency, it wasn't really as hard as the other companies for sure, right? Because we were a lean business, we are a 1,100, 1,200 member team. So, there wasn't the logistics of worrying about what's happening to 100,000 people. So it wasn't that tough. We're an online business, everything happens digitally. I think some things that we had done right pre-COVID that worked very well for us was we were completely digital in terms of we are leveraging technology not just in the front end, in terms of dealing with the customers, but even at the back end. Just to give you an example, we went from 2 million customers to 11 million customers without adding any people on the team. We were at 1,100 people when we were at 2 million customers. We are at 1,100 people with like 11 million customers, right? And we have done the transition while upping the customer ratings. Like how we track for customer ratings. Our customer ratings have only gone up. So what COVID got us to do was, just focus more on how do you leverage technology to make life easier for people, right? As in not just your customer, but also internally, right? So, we started working significantly more on automating our processes. So if customers have query, how do you answer it automatically without him coming to us? I think one thing that we've done very well as a business is we kept it very simple. Think of us as a restaurant that sells only idli, right? If you're selling only idlis, it's a lot easier to run that business than, if you sell idli, masala dosa, wangi bhat, puliogre, whatever, right? Because then you have to worry about the logistics that goes behind it, right? So we have one deal for all our customers. So all our 11 million customers get exactly the same thing. So which has meant that, it has given us almost like an operating leverage in terms of how we run our support processes of sorts. In terms of technology, we are completely free and open source. So what it has meant for us is that while scaling up, when the sudden rush of new business happened after COVID, we didn't have to spend too much money. So our margins as a business didn't really get squeezed because new people came into the business. So it's generally, for us as being resilient has been, especially after hearing the first two stories, has been a lot more easier. But I think one thing that we have done well is to keep the business simple, keep it, not complicated, because, when you run a business, it's very easy to get carried away and try to cater to every customer of yours by offering a specialized deal for that customer, right? And then in turn complicate the business. And if you complicate the business, then it becomes harder to support it, right? So in terms of resiliency, I think that is something that we did well. But one silver lining in all of this COVID was, one of the things that internally we have been talking about as a business is how like concentration of wealth is becoming a problem in this country or across the world actually. And then how it's important to kind of move economies outside the metros, right? As in, because today all the wealth is concentrated, say, in Bangalore or London or New York or Delhi, whatever, right? As in, you need to be able to grow inclusively as a country. That means, your small towns and villages also have to, have economies of it. So the first thing, we experimented when we went, work from home is that can we really be permanent work from home, right? So can we nudge our team members to actually move out of large cities so that way you declutter the big cities, kind of move to smaller cities, and can you kind of help build the economies there? So out of the 1,100 people that work at Zerodha, almost like 800 people today work from home, and they work from smaller towns and cities. I don't think it's possible for every business to do it. But in our business, in a tech-first kind of a business where it's possible, I think the owners on businesses like us should be to move people away from large cities, right? Because otherwise the large cities will keep choking and eventually it'll break at some point of time, right? Our team members have a much better quality of life now. I mean, so I think the best outcome of all of this, silver lining out of the last 2 years is that today most of our team kind of works out of Belgaum and Mysore. I mean, and then of course Bangalore also we have a team. I mean, this is for people building businesses. I think I think we should think of India outside the bubble of the metros and see if we can actually help kind of contribute to those economies as well. Then we can as a country grow inclusively. So thanks for having me here.
Well, indeed, the government of Karnataka is already doing that, and Global Investors Meet has been a great platform for the government of Karnataka to take business outside Bengaluru. Thank you, sir, for your presentation. And now we move on to Shri Santhosh Kumar, the MD of Texas Instruments.
Good afternoon to all of you. Wonderful presentation, Nithin. It's really hard to catch up with your story of 70% of your people working from home. We work in our labs. It's very, very hard for us. It's also very hard for us to catch up with the level of attrition that has been maintained, right? We believe we are doing much better than the industry, but the numbers that is actually blown me away, right? We've been here for last 37 years, and we have seen Bangalore change, and we have been so much excited with this change. And the impact that Bangalore has had on TI and impact TI has on Bangalore is both very mutually rewarding and extremely exciting. Talking about resilience, right? We are actually operating in a very, very dynamic environment, right? I'll just quickly throw some numbers for us to be on the same page. We have 7.3 billion people growing at the rate of 1.2% in this world. World GDP sitting at 75 trillion is growing 2 to 3% on an average. Forget about what's happening in the last couple of years, but otherwise growing really nice. And if you just look at it, the semiconductor volumes are actually going at 8%, right? That's a huge opportunity when you really look at it, that things are actually going well. For every person that we have on this planet, somewhere 150 semiconductor devices are manufactured, created, and sold and consumed every year. That's the volume of the opportunity that you're actually talking. The way that this market is extremely competitive, we actually see not just companies competing for market share, we do see governments competing for fair share and really a dominant position in the market. And you can actually see government also doing a lot of investments all over for being self-reliant, right? Our story cannot be really complete without really going and mentioning the role that government of Karnataka has played for us right from the beginning, right? It's a huge impact that they've had. Any kind of an opportunity or a problem that we have actually worked with, they don't really look at who is presenting the problem. They actually look at what is the value of the problem that they are bringing in. They have been able to solve. Big thank you for you, ma'am, and a lot of other people in the room who has actually helped us in this journey all along. You all would have seen really the picture of a bullock cart that somebody would have been taken a picture 37 years back where they carried the satellite dish for Texas Instruments moving to our first building office, right? That's kind of a iconic picture. From that time, where we started with under 20, 30 people working on supporting a tool for the software, we have actually come a long way, right? We've released several wonderful products, including 77 gigahertz first radar. First chip, integrated chip came from India, which enabled under 1,000 rupees cell phone that was available a long time back over here. The first 5G chip that we made right from here was first deployed in the worldwide, first deployment of the 5G network, right? And the kind of ultrasound work and the X-rays that we really do are world-class with some of our customers sitting on the rise itself using it extremely well, right? So we are very proud of the journey, right? We could even say that in the COVID times, the first 100 bed that we could actually launch for government of Karnataka in 45 days is just make us really proud of what we can actually do from here, right? There is a lot of things for us to really learn about how we have really come on this journey for in such a short period of time. I do think that the kind of work that we have done, we've changed the position of India, at least in front of our customers, in front of our shareholders and stakeholders in the company, of India being a support or an assist kind of an operation to really a leadership position, what we can really come with it, right? 40% of TI's products come out of India today, right? And we actually measure ourselves with very different metrics, and we'll talk about it in a minute, compared to any other engineering operations really look at it, right? And we are extremely proud of that journey of how we have transitioned ourselves. I think if you just look at our story, right, we have actually moved from a dependent organization to an independent organization and evolved ourselves into an interdependent organization, right? The way that we have built ourselves when we went through an exit from the wireless business, where we had 35% of our talent working on it, which is a huge business for us, how we have shaped that further, how we have actually gone ahead and reskilled and even repositioned our value proposition during the time I'm talking about in the last 10 years, really give a lot of strength for us to see how we can look at this in the moving world. I would actually capture our journey under 3 pillars, right? The first pillar for us is the strategy pillar. TI never came to India for cost arbitrage. That was never the play that we really had. We came here for talent. We came here to see that we can build a really valuable position for our products and talent over time. And we have actually established that fairly well quickly on how we can actually do that time. We always go back and make sure that we are stronger before we make bigger. We don't really go to our customers and look at what is the dollar impact that we really have with them. We actually look at it on what is the value that we are able to provide for them. That is far more important for us to go really provide our value, right? It is also important for ourselves to really look at the depth of the relationship that we really have with our customers, right? Our employees, how deep that we really go with our customers, how much we can actually create products, right? We are extremely proud to go back and say that the domain of the business that we work on, which is a product that we should really work on from here? How do we really pick the product? We have trained our teams to really operate really as the owners of the company rather than loyal employees. That's the kind of value that we have actually shared with our people. They go back and take a decision. If I have the next $1 million to invest, which is a market I should really go? What kind of products I should really do? How do I build? Where do I hire the people and all of that? Several of those decisions that we actually do today are done by people in our team. And we have actually changed the metrics of execution for us. We don't really go back and look at it to say that, are we on time? Did we really deliver the product on time? All of those are important, but we look at it on, for every $1 million that we have actually invested, what is the return on investment? I'm not really talking about business people doing it. I'm talking about engineers in our shop going and finding it out, and did we really provide financial value with the money that we have actually taken from our shareholders, right? So that's a kind of strategy that we have actually operated, which has absolutely worked for us. The second important pillar for us is the pillar of execution. That is most important. And I would actually focus, the key word there is the focus, right? We are not really trying to do a lot of things. We are number one in the world for analog. For the semiconductor chips that we do, and we have a strong position in digital. But we actually go back and focus the kind of talent that we hire. How do you really go bring in? We have 75% of our people coming directly from the campuses. Hundreds of people get trained in our offices, working as the new college grads coming in as interns and working with us, and we are extremely happy with the kind of talent that we can get from, not alone from Bangalore, but across India. I think we will also go back and look at it that the continuous improvements in the process and methods that we really have in creating the hardware and the software play a very, very important role for us to do, right? As a part of our execution, we also worked very closely with the startup ecosystem. We are very proud to say that several of the startups that we have here has got their first check from here. And we have never released the last check to them simply because we have not really brought them into the company. We want them to be successful as partners in the game. We have established tens of years back how we can actually go work and share the fortunes that we make, right? Rather than giving them a check on an RE, we have actually gone back and said, let's co-create the business and really share the profits that we have in the businesses with them. We are extremely proud to do that. We have actually co-created products with our customers and established a great value proposition over here. We're very happy to go back and share that several of the customers who have actually come here later into India had their first meeting in TI office to decide whether they should really come to India, should they really be coming to Bangalore, and what else that we have to do, right? So those are interesting things for us to look at it on how we have actually grown over time. The most important, I would say, the powerful pillar for us, other than the execution, is really the fact of what is the purpose for us that we really operate, right? That's a very important pillar for us. We just look at this world that, look, there are 7.3 billion people. We put them in a pyramid. We go back and look at our products to see, if you look at it in the bottom half of the pyramid, for the work that we try to do, how do we ensure that these products are actually touching and changing the lives of the people in the bottom half of the pyramid? That's a very, very important metric that we look at it, right? It actually challenges for the products that we create. Are we creating these products to make it affordable? We genuinely believe that electronics and semiconductors can change absolutely the quality of life of our people. It can happen that it can change the quality of the life of the people only if you make it affordable. To make really things affordable is absolutely extremely challenging, most innovative, and extremely rewarding to people, right? So once we are able to connect the dot that why this product that we are actually creating will actually make the life change for the bottom half of the pyramid, the whole equation that I'm talking about, the strategy piece of it or the execution pieces of it, our employees can actually see how they connect together and how can they truly really create the value. By looking at it for the next few years, I think this is absolutely the best time for electronics. Some of the earlier statistics tell us that there are huge things that we can actually do with the kind of work that we are trying to do over here. But the most important thing for us when we really look at it at this point of time is that, right, how are we going to leverage these opportunities and grow ourselves to the true potential of what we can actually do in Bangalore and India? We have lots of things for us to do and we can actually work together. To me, I believe this is a great opportunity. By being over here for several decades earlier, I also believe it's our responsibility to spearhead several of these actions that happen in Bangalore because several of the companies are actually in Bangalore and we can make a significant difference to the world ecosystem of semiconductor and electronics by operating from Bangalore. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. And we now have the final talk, Shri Alok, Nanda, the CTO at GE.
I don't know about all of you, but I feel truly inspired listening to all the stories. So let's give everybody a big round of applause. I know all of us have made some great stories, but this city has contributed to all of them. So really proud to be a citizen of Bangalore for last 22 years working for our GE India Technology Center. You know, GE has been in India for last 120 years. And the first hydroelectric plant that was built by anywhere in India was with GE equipment in Shiv Samudram, like 40 kilometers from Bangalore. Next time you visit there, please do visit the exhibition, which is just next to the power plant, and the original equipment is still there. So we've been in India and we've benefited from India as a company tremendously over the last 120 years. And in Karnataka, in Bangalore, our beautiful campus actually makes the city even more beautiful. And it's been there for last 22 years, and I've been proudly working in that campus for last 22 years. The stories, I have a couple of stories for you today that I will be sharing. were created in this center. And hopefully they give you 1 or 2 takeaways at the end which help you in your resilience journey. And that was the objective for me to share these stories today. The first story, okay, this is around a product. Imagine a team going to the stakeholders and pitching to them the promise of India. Okay, 1.4 billion people, growing healthcare needs, big booming middle class, and everybody gets excited, okay, India is a land of opportunities. You turn the page and you get to the next page and you show your revenue, which is static, maybe a little bit declining. And you ask, okay, no, what happened? I mean, you have so many opportunities, why are you not able to sell? And the team telling, okay, but our product is not really suitable for Indian market. Most of the healthcare needs are unserved in tier 2, tier 3 cities. This is a product we are not able to sell. We need a new product. And you get laughed at that, okay, no, I mean, maybe you don't understand how a CT technology works. It's a niche technology. Now this, just hold on to that thought. What would that team feel? Think about yourself as being part of the team, or even more interesting if you want to make it, think of being as the leader of the team who was actually presenting to the stakeholders. Just hold on to that concept, okay, that situation. The second story that I will share with you is around people. So that first one was around product. Now this is 2017-18, and if some of you were following GE at that time, almost everything that was written in social media, in press about GE was bad. Okay, we were going through a tough time, going through a big leadership change, revenues are falling, stock prices falling, everybody's talking bad about the team. And we had this annual leadership meeting, we all got together of our center leadership. And the biggest feeling was of dejection. I mean, we did this survey, okay, how are you feeling? Because we wanted to know, okay, in this tough time, how are the leaders feeling who've been with GE for some time? And even for long timers like me and rest of my colleagues, the feeling was of dejection, frustration, anger, and more importantly, complete helplessness of, okay, what do I do now? Everybody's talking bad about us, and all the faces were dropping. And you know, when you are in a process of turnaround, you want the team to follow that. You cannot afford the leaders having this feeling. Now imagine yourself being part of that leadership team. If you want to make it more interesting, imagine you being me representing that leadership team. Okay? So these are the two stories. I'll tell you how the teams reacted, and hopefully that has some takeaways in terms of resilience for all of us. Going back to the product team. Now, a CT product, we're going to, I mean, we're not being that successful. We've constant market share, not a bad market share, but it's not growing. When there is so much unserved healthcare need in the country, with tier 2, tier 3 cities actually having to send patients to cities nearby, big cities nearby, to get a simple CT scan. Still not able to grow the business because we don't have a right product. And the people who actually made the CT product laughing us out and saying, okay, maybe you don't understand how this technology works. So what did the team do? The team could have very well had a victim's attitude, like sometimes we have, no, okay, people don't understand, okay, this is what it is. I mean, how do we really get the money to make a product? But the team did a different approach. The team went and talked to 250 plus doctors all across India, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, to understand what is the gap. Why are they not actually going in for CT technology while they're sending their patients to big cities nearby? In addition to talking to the doctors, they went and visited the hospitals in tier 2, tier 3 cities and talked to the technicians, to the nurses, to the patients to understand what it is. We got a lot of data, but I'll share with you 3 nuggets of data that actually shaped this team. The first nugget that we got was that, okay, we would invest in CT if it came at the cost of X-ray. Okay, that was like a huge, because we were thinking, normally you think 10% cost reduction, 15% cost reduction. We were staring at 50% cost reduction. Then the next second nugget, which was very useful for us, came from actually a technician who said, see, sir, your gantry is very narrow. I mean, you know, when you go to a city, if unfortunately you've gone to a city, but you probably would have seen an image, there is this round like hole in which the patient goes. It's very scary, right? Can you make it a little bigger? And in the same breath, that same technician said, but our rooms are very small. Can you make the overall CT smaller? Imagine you make the gantry bigger, but you make. So that was again a very interesting nugget for us. The third interesting nugget for us came from a hospital in Trichy. The doctor told us, I have a garage. I don't have any other place. If you can fit that CT in the garage, I'll buy it. The other option I have is if you can fit it on the 5th floor. But you know, your current weight of your equipment is not supported by the foundation that I had. Now we have to make a product where you can't compromise on quality, obviously, because health is the most important thing. Why you have a CT, and all these are the equipment. And now, and our stakeholders not ready to really fund, because nobody really believes that you could do a product like that. Because you know who designed the city are the stakeholders from whom we are saying maybe we can get a better city for you. This team didn't give up, and to get the story short, now we've launched a CT which is called Revolution Aspire CT, which is 50% less weight, 30% better image quality with 40% less dosage. You know the dose, the rays that goes into our body, we reduce that by 40% while increasing the image quality by 30% and reduce the footprint of the CT while increasing by 70 centimeters the gantry, so that, I mean, people like me who are not the slimmest also don't feel threatened as they enter the room. And at the cost which is very close to the X-ray machine. You know, now, despite all this, what the doctors now said, now you design a machine and you get it ready. Now we need a 50% higher throughput. Because, you know, if I invest the money, I need to do more scans in a day. I mean, this is a typical Indian, like all of us go through that, okay, I want more out of it. And we had to prove this. Everything else we could prove in our lab. Now throughput you have to prove in this. Then what happened? COVID happened. And now you have to prove this in a lab. But you know what COVID, anybody who had COVID during, when we all learned how important oxygen is during that wave of COVID, had to go through a CT scan. You remember, on the 4th or the 5th day, the doctors would send every COVID patient for a CT scan. So rather than thinking of COVID as a problem, this team thought, oh wow, everybody wants to do, everybody who's had COVID, we had 4 lakh COVID patients every day. Now this team went to a hospital in a COVID-invested environment and tested this for throughput and proved not 50% but beyond 50% throughput for the doctors. And you know what? Today, each one of these teams, this product, we're landing 1 order every day. So that's something that I'm like really, really proud. That is resilience. Okay, now everything is stacked against you, but you're getting to a solution by not behaving like a victim, but behaving like an owner. More importantly, this product is made in India, in Bangalore. More importantly, equally importantly, the last plant that we set up in Bangalore, which contributes to this product, is all-woman plant. So, you know, that's resilience for me. Now the second story, now my story. Okay, now I mean, we are having this session, my leadership is there, everybody is dejected, every social media site that you open is talking bad about your company. What do you do? What do you do? what can you control? Now people are in anger. No, our communication team is not doing a great job. We should do more. What can you do? I mean, if you attack a troll, what happens? More trolling. Okay, so rather than that, we changed track, and what we did, I mean, I've done so many things I have seen so many things in my career, but what our team ended up doing was something like really special for me. Because it moved people, okay, which is, I think, is more difficult thing than designing a product. What we said was that what we can't control, but what we can control and what do we know is who we are. Okay? We can't let somebody else control our emotions. And we did one thing which I remember that we said that, okay, all employees must believe how good we are because we are very good. We are going through a rough phase, we'll get over that, but the employees need to feel good about themselves. So for every team in our center, every team, we did something called a pride session. It was very simple. Everybody would get together for 1 hour and talk about things that they have delivered or done, which they are proud of. And when we started this, we were very nervous because we don't know. I mean, maybe people say, okay, get lost. I mean, this is not our problem. What are you talking about? Let's fix the company. I mean, what are you expecting from me to say? Maybe people won't speak. You know, most of the sessions could not be completed in 1 hour. Some of the sessions went up to 3 hours. People were crying and talking about how good they felt about themselves. And you know, it's amazing to see when people then realize how good they are and then turn around to say, okay, let the world speak what they want to speak. We know how good we are and we will turn this company around, which we've done over the last 3-4 years, and we're back on track and very happy about it. So these are the two big resilience stories I wanted to tell. We did several things in the second story. I know for the paucity of time, I'll leave you with 3 takeaways from me, which was learning for me. Maybe it helps you through this. One was, don't be a victim. I mean, we faced with a tough situation, we start behaving like victims. Positive framing of a context is important, and we can't really let constraints dominate us. Constraints enable us to think out of the box. The second thing is perseverance and grit. You know how many times we were asked to get lost? How many times we were asked to go back? How many times people said that, okay, this kind of a product is not even possible. This team not only did this product, but has 30 more similar products, either they're working on or they have already launched, so that we never get into the situation again where we have an unserved need, but we are not like being able to serve that. So those were the 2 stories that I wanted to tell you for resilience that I have experienced in the last few years, and hopefully this was useful for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alok. As promised, we'll have 2 or 3 questions. It will be 3 questions if you straight away ask the question. It will be 2 questions if you also start telling stories. So it all depends on all of you. If you directly ask questions, we can have more questions. Yeah, the mic will come to you, and to whom you have to ask the question, you can always refer. Yeah, yes.
Hi.
It's on, sir. Go ahead. It's on.
Hello.
We welcome the Honorable Minister Shri Murugesh Nirani, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Additional Chief Secretary Shri Ramanujam Reddy, sir. Welcome to you, sir. Yeah, straight away come to the question.
Yes, this has been one of the most fascinating of all the sessions that I've attended, and each one of you have had a very good story. My question is, I have a lot of questions to each one of them, but I'll restrict, as you said, to one, and that is for Nithin. Congratulations to your success, which is amazing. It has changed the landscape of Indian stock market trading. As I mentioned to you, there is a big problem of unclaimed wealth of Indian public lying right now. I think it's around 1 to 2 lakh crores with the government. And you also had some thoughts. Could you please share how and what can be done so that people get it back? Because the unclaimed wealth is coming from claimable wealth, which people are not able to claim. When you are alive, you cannot claim because of the kind of rules, regulations, and all kinds of things that are happening, or not happening rather.
Right. Thanks for that. Yeah, I mean, this is quite a big problem. One of the things that
Yeah.
yeah.
It's on, sir. You speak. You go ahead. You can speak.
So one of the things we've done as a business is, see,
Hello.
yeah. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean,
You hold it like this.
oh, like this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like a singer.
Yeah, this is what happens, COVID and work from home. So, yeah. So, so sorry. No, firstly, I think one of the reasons for unclaimed wealth is, I don't know what's the thing. Most men manage wealth in the house, and they tend to be very private about their financial, assets. Right, as in like women don't get to know what's actually the stock holding the man has, right? And so this is a question, I've asked a lot of my friends, a lot of family members saying, why don't you want to talk about it? And then, I've thought about it and I'm like, do I want to tell my wife everything that I have? Maybe not, I mean, at least, right? But I want her to know if something were to happen to me, right? So we've created this utility in our platform. So what it does is, if a customer becomes inactive, the regulations require us to re-KYC the customer once in a year. So what we've done is, if a customer doesn't re-KYC in 6 months, we assume that something has happened to him, and we send an alert to the nominee saying, you know what, this person hasn't re-KYC'd, so so there are these assets in his name, and you're the nominee. Right? So that way, while I'm alive, my wife still doesn't get to know what I'm holding. But we have covered for a situation when the outcome isn't right. Now, coming to the other problem, which assets is already lying. I mean, my dad actually went through this problem, and I have all the resources in the world, but it took me like a year's time to get my... So what happens is, if you have a bank account mapped to your Demat account, and dividends come to your bank account, now, if your bank account becomes inactive, and if dividend gets bounced back, the securities actually end up moving to, like this pool account where it moves away from the customer Demat account. And recovering that is quite hard. So I'm part of a bunch of SEBI committees, and this is something that we're bringing up there quite often to saying, you need to make it easier for people to claim that back. But I think the right fix for this is to not allow for that to happen. Right? I mean, how do you avoid that step itself is the thing. I mean, recovering is there are multiple discussions happening around that. Thanks.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sushant Shetty. I'm a mechanical engineer. My question is directed to Udayant and Alok. So as a manufacturing company, you guys come up with a lot of problem statements in the company which needs to be resolved, and it needs to be immediately fixed, or else it gives a great loss to the company as a whole. But generally from the last 2 days of talks which has happened here, what I heard is that when you have a problem, you just go to IITs, IIMs to get those problems solved with technically high minds. But my question is, can't an engineer like me also solve your problem? But what we miss as solution providers is problem statements. And what you miss as, you need solutions, but you miss the people who are able to give you solutions in a better price. Maybe you go to IIT, IIMs, they charge you 10 lakhs to give you a solution. We as engineers could give you the same solution in 5 lakhs. I'm asking, why don't you think of a creative platform which can connect both of us?
Yeah, great question. You know, in recent times, we've been working with DST exactly to create that platform. It's an open platform. What DST has done, it's called FIRE, F-I-R-E. I forgot the acronym expansion, but you can go and look at it, look up it at Google, and you will see that this platform does exactly what you are asking. What it does is it asks industry, like in this case GE, to submit problems, and anybody who in India can apply for a solution, can give a proposal that this is the solution, and then it's a competitive process. There is a team which looks at which solution looks most feasible and most effective, and that person gets awarded that problem to be solved. 50% of the money comes from Government of India, 50% of the money comes from the industry, and 100% of the money goes to this any individual who wins that. So many such platforms are available. We also have to be a little bit proactive in finding these out, and I'm glad you asked this question, and so that I could provide you some guidance around that. The other thing that you said is that, okay, companies like us go to IITs and IIMs and give them money. Actually, for GE, we go to IITs and many other colleges to get some money. Okay, so these days, I mean, we keep talking about government not investing in R&D, but I can tell you that in last 5 years at least, governments have so many programs where they give money for problems, for solutions and for skill development. So we partner with professors, not only with IIT IIMs, with many professors around the country. We give proposals for, okay, these are the challenging problems that industry has. Government gives money to solve that problem. Industry gives like 50%, 75%, depending on what that scheme is. And then that problem gets solved. So a lot is available today. We just need to become a little proactive and figure out what it is so that we can participate in this economy of open innovation and get benefited, and the whole society gets benefited. What is in it for the companies is that we get the best solution. It's not that we are going to one person or one professor or one institute. Anybody can compete, and we get the best, and what, like you said, everybody can participate and compete and win.
We don't go to any IITs or IIMs for our problem solving. They get solved by the engineers. Every third or fourth person in the company is an engineer. And I would say more than even the engineer, our workers are fully involved. We have cross-functional teams which include the workforce involved in the manufacturing, and we find incredible solutions from those people who are actually manufacturing and designing the products. Thank you.
I think we are slightly running short of time because the valedictory is also there. The Honorable CM may come anytime. We can take questions offline. And before we leave the panelists, I would request the Honorable Minister to kindly come over and give away mementos. Yeah. Sir, Dynamatic mail bandu elrigu mementos kodbekagive. Please, others, don't get disappointed. The panelists will be there and you can ask questions offline in the interest of time, because you will have to have tea and then come for the valedictory. Okay, so we have taken care of that. So after completing everything, we'll have one photographs in the front. So, resilient Karnataka, indeed. Sir, one more. Thank you, sir. I would request all of you to kindly come forward. I would request the ACS and the Commissioner also to kindly come forward for the photo. Sir, munde banbidi, sir. Well, for all of us, there is a message. You can have your tea in 15 minutes after this photograph, because you need to give a huge round of applause for the entire panelists. Please enjoy your tea and do join us at the plenary hall at exactly 3:45, so that the program unfolds 10 minutes after that. And the Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Shri Basavaraj Bommai, will be there. Shri Murugesh Nirani is already here. Other ministers of the Karnataka government will join in. Shri Sunil Kumar, Shri B.C. Patil, Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan. We have the Union Minister of State, Shri Bhagwant Kuba, and of course, the Chief Secretary of Karnataka, and also the ACS and the Commissioner will also be there. So all of you kindly join us for the valedictory. Thank you very much. Namaskara, and all of you do come for the valedictory. Thank you very much.